Hi, welcome to Studio 14. I'm Ginny Sawyer with the City of Fort Collins, and with me today we have Bill Porter, Director of Animal Control, and Beth Sowder, Manager of Neighborhood Services. We're going to spend some time talking with you guys today about a new partnership between your two organizations and some changes and good things that that's bringing, as well as have an opportunity to just learn a little more about animal control. So, Beth, what occurred recently?
Well, last fall we started talking about some possible changes to animal control codes, and during that conversation the topic came up, well, does it make sense to switch where animal control is managed under the contract with animal control from police services to neighborhood services, since animal control issues often tend to be neighborhood type issues. And so that conversation went on, and that was decided. So now, more recently, even though we've worked with animal control for many years as partners, now we even have a more closer connection through our working connection with the contract, where neighborhood services oversees the contract for animal control with Larimer Humane Society. So that linked us even closer and gives us more opportunities to collaborate and work together, improve our customer service connection, and just provide our services in a more efficient way.
Well, that's exciting. So some people might not be aware of this, so that animal control isn't actually a city department.
Correct. Larimer Humane Society is contracted with Fort Collins along with Loveland and unincorporated Larimer County. So we provide sheltering and animal control services for Fort Collins and the other jurisdictions.
Okay, and prior to that you were under police services?
Yes, each jurisdiction is managed by either code enforcement or police services. So with these changes, it looked a little better that we fit into neighborhood services.
Right, I can see how that makes a lot of sense, because as you said, typically in this capacity, animals are a neighborhood issue or a nuisance issue, and we've got some good processes in place. Did some other things change aside from just the structure?
Yeah, we mainly what we did is a decriminalization, which means rather than being a criminal misdemeanor if someone has a dog off leash, for example, it's now what we call a civil infraction. So the difference in that is the penalties. So and these really relate specifically to nuisance type animal behavior. So animal at large, picking up your animal waste, barking dogs, those kinds of things, licenses and rabies vaccinations. We did not decriminalize some of the more, cruelty to animals or aggressive or dangerous animals.
That's still a criminal
Those are still
offense.
Criminal, yes.
Okay.
Or even
Cruelty.
Yeah, cruelty. I want to make sure that one was. Yeah. So we went through and we made sure that those ones were exempted and stayed criminal misdemeanors.
Okay.
But the ones that we decriminalized and made civil offenses, the penalty, so to speak, the punishment or whatever, better fit the crime. So if you have a dog off leash and you get cited for that, now it's a fine as opposed to a fine plus a criminal misdemeanor on your record, which could cause problems down the road with other things. So we have the ability now to more efficiently enforce the code through that, because the process is a little bit simpler, and the penalty better fits the crime, so that it's just more clear and people seem to understand it better. What else did we change? We also changed our barking dog policy to primarily to be more responsive to neighbor concerns. Do you want to talk more about that?
Tell us a little bit about that. We have a lot of dogs in Fort Collins. Do you know how many?
We don't know how many. There are approximately 25,000.
Wow.
But does everyone register the dog? We certainly hope so, and we have a very good compliance rate. About 80% to 90% of people
that is good.
do register their animals. That's for a variety of reasons, but we don't have the exact numbers. Dogs come in and out, but there are a lot of dogs, and dogs do bark. There are a variety of reasons. Scared, bored, which is probably the most common reason why dogs bark. Being aggressive, alert barking. So there's a variety of reasons why dogs bark, and so we try to help people understand why their dog is barking, but also work with the complainant to help correct the problem. Say, hey, if when you're home your dog's out in the backyard alone, bored. First, talk to the owner. Do you know your dog's barking while you're at work? Second is work also with the complainant. Help them to understand the process. Make it simpler for them.
Right.
And that is a big portion of what we did with these changes.
That's
to
nice.
help with the complaint process. So we simplified it, made it straightforward for people to make a complaint. These changes are new. Nobody in Colorado does animal control barking this way. So
Oh, wow.
we're trying something new.
We're breaking new ground.
Yeah, we work closely with the city, so they had a good process for doing code enforcement. So it's
Yep.
like, well, let's try that too.
Well, so let's walk through it. Let's just pretend, because it doesn't happen in my neighborhood, that my neighbor's dog is barking, and I'll assume that I do the good neighborhood services thing, and I talk to them, and they seem somewhat receptive, and yet the behavior doesn't change. So now I'm really, really frustrated. What do I do?
Well, you've already talked to your neighbor, and that didn't work.
Yep.
Probably the easiest way would be to call Larimer Humane Society. That number is 226-3647.
Okay, and that goes right to a person or
That
after our
goes,
machine or
and then hit extension 7 for animal control.
okay.
Well, what we need now is a dog barking. Yes, so that my neighbor's dog is barking, like you said.
Right.
So what we need is ideally just the who, what, when, and where would make the strongest case. However, if the person complaining if they want to be anonymous, doesn't want to put themselves forward,
Yeah, okay. They
we
do
can
that?
take that complaint now with those changes.
All right.
So
Some
an officer
people like that. Some people might get frustrated by that, I guess, but
The
good.
problem that we're seeing with that, since we've been doing this since May 1st,
Yeah.
is that an officer will respond and address the concern. If the dog isn't barking,
You don't know who to follow up
we don't know who to follow up with, and we'll let the owner know, that we were at their house. But if the dog wasn't barking, no legal action was taken.
Okay.
So the problem may not be solved.
So that's one of the important things when someone calls that we explain, either if they call the Humane Society or Neighborhood Services. If they wish to remain anonymous, we understand why in some cases someone might want to do that. But then it makes the process a little bit less, well, in some cases a lot less able to resolve if we get out there, because we still have to, the officer still has to verify that a barking situation is occurring. They can't take any enforcement action without having that verification. So,
Right.
so that's where some people who on the side of, well, I'm not sure that it's fair to take anonymous complaints. Well, they could at least be assured that we're going to still verify and make sure that a barking situation is happening and there's a violation before any enforcement action is taken.
And so now if well, let's pretend it's me, although I don't have a dog, but you approach me, my dog is out there barking, I get a ticket in the mail, or you knock on my door, or what's
The
going to
first
happen?
stage is a warning.
Okay.
You are at work right now.
Right.
So you may not
Not
know
even
your
know.
dog's barking in the backyard.
Right. Okay.
So our first thing is let the person know, hey, your dog is barking. These are some things you can do to help with the problem.
Super.
Okay. And we give them 7 to 10 days to rectify, change animals' behavior, do some training, keep it inside. Always the 100% solution, but that's not always possible.
Right.
So a warning in 7 to 10 days, and say if Beth is still bothered by your barking dog, then she'd call animal control again and say, my neighbor's dog is barking again.
Still.
Yes, and this is when it was barking.
Okay.
And then animal control will go and address, give a ticket.
Okay.
Ideally, we try to do it face-to-face.
Yep.
But if the person isn't there because, well, you're a busy woman, you work a lot,
Still not home.
and then you go out for dinner and then catch a movie, and it's been frustrating for animal control officers to reach owners of busy people.
Sure.
And so we'd go over again and again and again and again, and the dog's still barking and barking and barking the whole time. So weeks, months would go by before we're able to address the problem dog by giving a citation. And meanwhile, Beth is over here getting frustrated about the barking dog.
and I'm thinking you're not doing anything, when really you're trying, you just can't get a hold of the person. So that was one of the situations that was frustrating for people that we were having trouble resolving. And hopefully this, with the new process, and I know you're going to explain that, kind of can help resolve it, because we can usually issue a ticket much quicker with the civil citation process.
Because we can mail it or leave it on the door.
Leave it on the door or mail it. So suddenly a citation is issued within 24 hours instead of, could be days or weeks or something like that.
Wow, that is good.
And then we close the loop by talking to Beth and saying, hey, we issued a citation here. And so let us know, give it a month, and if things don't get better, then we'll take the next step. Should probably add about how much this ticket is, huh?
Right, so most of them, most of the violations for barking dogs specific is different. So since we're talking about barking dogs, let's go.
Yeah.
Most of the other ones are 100, but the first violation for a barking dog, because it's been kind of an ongoing and problematic issue for a lot of neighbors, is the first violation is $175.
75.
So first time you get a ticket, it's $175. Which is pretty expensive for a civil citation first time.
Yeah.
The hope is that, of course, they still have the process doesn't end with the ticket. Anyone who gets a ticket has the opportunity to go to court, request a hearing in front of the referee or who works for the municipal judge, or they can request it in front of the judge to if they don't think that they should have been given the ticket, so they can do that. Or they can pay the fine. If they get a second ticket, then it goes up to, for barking dogs, remember what the second one is? $350?
Twice as much, yeah, $350.
So twice as much, so it gets really expensive. And then for all of the nuisance or the civil citation issues, anytime there's 3 or more within a year, it can become a criminal misdemeanor. So we still have the ability, if something is just not...
It's a real chronic problem.
Yeah, a real chronic problem. Then we can switch over to criminal misdemeanor, and it can be addressed that way as opposed to the civil citation.
And this is very similar to how we do a lot of our weeds, rubbish, trash, those types of violations as well.
That's right.
Okay, good. Well, so it hasn't been long, but have you gotten any feedback, or do you, even amongst your staff, do people feel like it's a positive change?
It's still up in the air.
Okay.
We don't know, and there's going to be kinks to work out. But overall, yes, it's working very efficiently.
Good.
For the first month, the month of May, there have been 67 nuisance barking dog complaints.
2 a day, more than 2 a day.
Yeah. So
is that average?
That's average. 16 of those have been anonymous.
Okay.
So and then officers go out there, try to verify, but only one has been, officer go out there and say, wow, this is a problem.
Who found it?
Yes, and so,
Okay.
but and every time the owner of the dog is left some kind of educational material or a note saying, hey, we were out here, did you know your dog was barking? But this time it was unfounded.
Okay.
Please call us if you have any questions. Something like that.
Yeah.
It's been simpler, and that we have
good.
not seen a big increase in the number of complaints.
Okay.
So things have been going about steady. We haven't issued a single citation yet.
Okay.
Possibly, one is because it's working great. Two,
People are correcting.
Most time when people learn that their dogs are barking, they're like, oh my goodness, I never knew. And they take immediate action.
That's good to hear, because I bet a lot of neighbors are like, how can they not know? Of course they know. They're just not doing anything. When in reality, people really don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're finding. Huh.
And then most are corrected with just a warning. But occasionally there's an owner that either doesn't care or doesn't know how to fix it. And so that's when a citation would is issued. We have not issued a citation for the month of May. We have issued a citation since then.
Okay.
Just one. And that was for birds, actually.
Oh.
So our first barking complaint
Barking birds.
was for noisy birds.
We always call it the barking dog ordinance, but it's really animal disturbance.
Mm-hmm.
So it's for any loud animal. People might not know that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's birds and there's, roosters they aren't supposed to be in Fort Collins, so we have a number of different ways to address that.
Okay.
But it's more than just dogs.
More than just dogs. Interesting. That's really funny, actually, I think. So the other thing I've seen that is new to me, I got home the other day and there was a postcard. I think it was in the mail. It might have been on my door, just saying that Animal Control had received a request to do more patrolling in my area. What warrants that sort of notification?
Well, these are some exciting with all these changes that are coming from being under neighborhood services. Suddenly we're able to have more tools, and Beth and her team have been able to help with these problem neighborhoods. For example, I don't know which neighborhood you're in, but there's been, and it's been the same type of complaints. The complaints have been people walking with their dog off leash, and it relieves itself and they don't pick up the waste. These have been the most common ones.
Right.
And so Animal Control will go out there, verify that this is a problem. But we also want to let everybody know that it's like, hey, we are going to be focusing in your neighborhood for waste removal. Here's a law. For dog at large, here's a law.
Yeah.
Their fines are $100 each. So, and then additional patrols will hit that once, twice a day.
Wow, that's okay.
It's quite a bit.
So the postcard was really, we want to let people know. And for one, they might not realize. I know a lot of people realize that not picking up after your dog is not okay, but they might not realize it's a law, an ordinance.
Right, you can be fined for it.
And same with dog off leash. People think, oh, well, if they're right next to me, it's okay, or that kind of thing, but they might not realize the actual ordinance. So we wanted to give, especially with the improved or increased patrols in the area, isn't it fair to let people know? And it might help resolve the problem, because then people who don't know now know.
Right.
And then two, that gives them the fair warning. They're going to be out looking for it, so you might want to make sure you take care of it. So we've done that in 2 or 3 neighborhoods just since the beginning of May, and so it's a great partnership, and I think it's a good tool. I know we've done it in the past in neighborhood services for barking as well, just a general neighborhood letter. You might, when
in some
people
ways,
don't
it's
know.
just good customer service, because then if someone feels like they're the only one that's bothered by something, they realize, actually, oh, look, I'm not the only one bothered. I can say something and, not feel so isolated and alone out there. And it lets people know that the city is doing what they can to address some problems and that you are aware, which is great. So
The dog at large can, the person with their dog at their side, with their bag, they feel like they're a responsible pet owner, and we certainly don't want to discourage owners to spend time exercising, being out there with their pet. But being in animal control, every day we see something horrible happen to their pets. And having a leash on will prevent that from happening. There's bites, there's dogs that see a squirrel and poof, they're gone and they get hit by a car. There's every day we see sad stories. The reason why we have a leash law in Fort Collins is because, there's a lot of people, a lot of cars, a lot of people, a lot of folks walking, a lot of other dogs. All these reasons come together, and that's why we have the leash law.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I think a lot of times people think of, their 3 best friends who have the perfect dog who's fine off leash, and why should this be an issue? But
it also protects the other person. If their dog is on a leash, but the other person doesn't have their dog on a leash, and their dog can come and bite and attacks happen. That's pretty common, and we want to prevent those type of things from happening. So anything we can do.
Great. Well, that's exciting. This is a great new partnership, and it's nice to be able to learn from each other and take some of those best practices. And I'll be interested to hear in the future if other communities adopt this model.
Loveland's already looking at it.
Are they? Oh, okay.
They're talking about changing. It's like, let's see how things go in Loveland first.
We'll be their guinea pig for now.
Exactly.
Interesting. Well, while we have you here in the opportunity, what other sort of trends or hot topics are you seeing over at the Humane Society?
Rabies.
Rabies.
Yes, Larimer County is #1.
Really?
They're the topmost number of rabies positive terrestrial animals. So that means
a terrestrial animal.
So bats can fly around with rabies, and some say that they can actually live with rabies in their system.
Okay.
And so we've always known that bats have rabies. That's been just common. But the most common way It's not so common to have rabies in terrestrial animals that walk around, the skunks, the raccoons,
okay.
the foxes.
And we're starting to see
And
that.
we're seeing it a lot. We're seeing up to, I think it was 20 in Larimer County. And
Wow.
we just picked up a rabies positive bat last week, close to Old Town actually. And person was bit. And so we have to be very careful. Let's make sure our pets are current on rabies.
Yeah, okay.
Sad things happen if they aren't.
And if you see that raccoon out in broad daylight, that's probably not a
Yeah.
good sign.
If you're, yes, if something is wrong, a raccoon out or a fox out, the nocturnal animals, when they're out and about in the daytime,
Something's not right.
let us know.
Okay.
Most likely it's distemper, which we can't get, but let's be sure. Let's be
Right.
sure. Let's pick it up and do what we need to do to test it and make sure. And any oddities happen. Your dog attacks a raccoon, get in a fight. A cat picks up a bat. Let us know. We want to test that bat. We want to make sure that the pets are safe,
Right.
but also having our pets vaccinated for rabies is the way it stops from us getting rabies. All right?
Yeah.
Because our pets come in our house and we pet them and everything, but if they touch us, if they pet us, and then they get if they get rabies,
Yeah.
then
Not good.
then we could get it.
And it's preventable,
It is preventable.
which is,
But
yeah.
once you get some symptoms, there's no recovery. So I know I want to stress the doom and gloom here. Let's be
I
safe.
know.
Keep them
Little
vaccinated.
gloom and doom. What do you know about the sheltering side? How many animals do you guys pick up a year?
Well, we do. Animal control does about 12,000 calls
Okay.
a year, just for Fort Collins,
Okay.
and we serve the entire county.
Wow.
And so anybody, whether it's a one-stop shop. If somebody loses their critter, if somebody's looking for a critter, somebody wants to adopt one, somebody lost it, they can come to Larimer Humane Society for it. So, and that saves tax money because
Yeah.
Larimer County doesn't have to have their own shelter, and Loveland have to have their own shelter, and Fort Collins have their own shelter. It's everybody, it's all together,
Okay.
and so it simplifies the process. We do get a lot of animals. There's a lot of smiles from the
Yeah.
adoptable animals, and we
Nice.
get about, I think it's 7,000 animals, domestic animals, a year that come through our door.
That is a ton.
Mm-hmm.
So Beth, do you feel like this is going well and it's a good thing? Excited about moving forward?
I do. I think I think we've just grown on the partnership we already had, and the relationship we already had started with animal control, and I think we're just finding ways, and it's exciting to find new ways that we can work better together and hopefully better serve the community and help resolve the issues that are out there. And barking dog, as Bill said early in this process, when we were talking about it last fall, barking is a problem everywhere. It's not just Fort Collins. It's just, in any society where you have people together and dogs and they're barking and someone
Right.
gets disturbed. But, so I don't think it'll ever go away 100%, but we work on it and we help people resolve it and help and keep and have positive relationships. So, and which is another, another way that we partner is we have mediation services out of neighborhood services. So we're able to offer in situations where it seems like, they really need to have this ability to come together in a safe place with mediators and really talk about the issue and resolve it for a long term. That's a really good option for folks too. So
That is.
yeah.
I'm going to give you both a chance to say your websites and a phone number to call, because really now, if people already know neighborhood services, they can use that, or they can go to animal control. So Beth, give us the neighborhood services info.
So neighborhood services, you can go on the Fort Collins website at fcgov.com, and you just do /neighborhood services to get us. And the phone number is 970-224-6046.
Okay, so they can call and make complaints or find out what's going on, or request maybe the neighborhood mailing if there's a real issue.
That's right.
I don't want you to get inundated and suddenly we need to mail the postcard to the entire
No, right,
city
exactly.
of Fort Collins.
We'll
but
talk
if
about
they're-
options.
Right, exactly. And Bill, one more time, if they want to get hold of your folks.
A lot of good information on our website. at larimerhumane.org.
Okay.
A
Org.
lot of adoptable animals up there. If you're somebody's looking for a new critter, we just have gotten 15 chickens in, so
Oh.
even chickens are up for adoption. And we have finches. Want to make that plug.
Finches.
So larimerhumane.org has a lot of good information. If somebody would like to file a complaint with animal control, 226-DOGS is a quick, easy way to remember it.
Oh.
226-3647.
Well done.
Then extension 7 for animal control.
Extension 7. Great. Thank you both. I wish you luck going forward. It sounds like a great new process. So thank you so much for joining us today. Hopefully you learned something. I certainly did. And if you have pets, get those rabies shots. Thanks.